Hello champions and happy Thursday. I am so excited to see you today. Today we're going to use what we've learned about unit rates to solve unit rate problems. I know you're going to do a great job, and so does Mr. Smiles. Let's dive right in. Start by writing our Champions Creed at the top of your paper. You are great, and today you have the opportunity to show how great you are. Now let's start our do now. Look at number 1. Michaela made several batches of brownies. She used 8 cups of sugar, 12 cups of flour, and 4 cups of fudge. What is the ratio of flour to sugar? Well, before simplifying, what's the ratio of flour to sugar? The ratio is 12 flour to 8 sugar. Now, I can simplify. What number goes into both 12 and 8? I can divide both by 4. When I divide both by 4, what's my simplified ratio? It's 3 flour to 2 sugar. The answer is D. Now you try number 2. Michaela made several batches of brownies. She used 8 cups of sugar, 12 cups of flour, and 4 cups of fudge. What is the ratio of flour to fudge? Well, the ratio is 12 to 4. When I divide by 4, my simplified ratio is 3 to 1. The correct answer is B. Now let's try a third one. Michaela made several batches of brownies. She used 8 cups of sugar, 12 cups of flour, and 4 cups of fudge. What's the ratio of fudge to sugar? Well, the ratio of fudge to sugar is 4 to 8. When I simplify, that's 1 to 2. A is the correct answer. We've also talked about finding the unit price. Let's look at number 4. Jamari bought 6 apples from the store for $2.82. What was the cost per apple? What operation do I need to use to find the unit price? I need to use division. So let's divide. $2.82 divided by 6. Remember to bring your decimal point straight up. 6 doesn't go into 2, so I need to put a 0 in the ones place. 0 times 6 is 0, and I can subtract to get 2. And then bring down my 8 to divide in the tens place. How many times does 6 go into 28? 6 goes into 28 4 times. What's 4 times 6? 4 times 6 is 24. When I subtract, how much is left over? There are 4 tenths left over. I can bring down my 2 to divide in the hundredths place. How many times does 6 go into 42? 6 goes into 42 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42, and there's nothing left over. So the correct answer is 47 cents. At this rate, what is the cost for 3 apples? Now that I know the unit price, what operation can I use to find equivalent ratios? I can use multiplication. I can multiply 47 cents, the cost of 1 apple, times 3, the number of apples. Go ahead and do that now. How much would 3 apples cost? Three apples would cost $1.41. Now try number 6. What would be the cost of 7 apples? Go ahead and find that cost now. The cost of 7 apples is $3.29. Check your work with mine. Lately, we've been talking about unit rate. Unit rate is the amount per 1. The amount per 1. Let's look at number 7 and solve together. In a recipe for orange paint, there are 4 parts red paint to 3 parts yellow paint. How many cups of yellow paint would be needed for 1 cup of red paint? Here we're finding the unit rate, or the amount per 1 cup of red paint? What operation should we use to find the unit rate? We can divide to find the unit rate. To go from 4 cups of red to 1 cup of red, what should we divide by? We should divide by 4. If I divide by 4 on one side of the ratio, I need to divide by 4 on the other. What's 3 divided by 4 written as a fraction? It's 3/4. So for every 1 cup of red paint, there are 3/4 cups of yellow paint. Now let's look at number 8. A punch recipe requires 2 cups of cranberry juice to make 3 gallons of punch. How many cups of cranberry would be needed to make 1 gallon? Well, go ahead and write your ratios out. What's the ratio of cups of cranberry juice to gallons of punch? It's 2 cups cranberry to 3 gallons. Am I trying to find the amount per 1 cup of cranberry or the amount per 1 gallon? I'm finding the amount per 1 gallon. So what do I need to divide by? I need to divide by 3. What's 2 divided by 3? It's 2/3. So the correct answer is D, 2/3. Now you try one. A punch recipe requires 2 cups of cranberry juice to make 3 gallons of punch. How many gallons could be made with 1 cup of cranberry juice? Answer that question now. I can divide by 2 to find the unit rate. 3 divided by 2 is 3/2. 3/2 gallons can be made with 1 cup of cranberry. We've been talking a lot about the unit rate. We can find the unit rate. The unit rate is the amount per 1. We can find the unit rate using which operation? Using division. Every ratio has blank unit rates. What goes in that blank? 2 goes in that blank. Once we know the unit rate, what operation can we use to find equivalent ratios? We can multiply to find equivalent ratios. The unit rate is also called the value of the ratio. We can multiply one quantity in the ratio by the value to find the other quantity. That means in a table, we can multiply across the columns by the value of the ratio. Today we're going to use tables to solve unit rate problems, and especially problems relating to constant speed. Now let's look at our first activity, migrating birds. Ducks and swans both migrate south for the winter. Ducks can travel 336 miles in 8 hours. Swans can travel 342 miles in 9 hours. Which bird flies faster? How much faster? And how do you know? And if both birds flew for 9 hours, how much farther would the ducks fly? So there are 2 questions we need to answer. We can make a table to help us answer each one. Go ahead and make a table for ducks and a table for swans. For each table, we need to put the time in hours and the distance in miles. Now let's fill in our tables. I know that ducks can travel 336 miles in 8 hours. I know that swans can travel 342 miles in 9 hours. To solve the first problem, we need to find the unit rate or the average speed for each bird. How could I find the distance that ducks travel in 1 hour, or the duck's speed in miles per hour? I could divide. I need to figure out what did I multiply 8 by to get to 336. So I can divide 336 by 8. Go ahead and do that now. 336 divided by 8 is 42. So the speed for ducks is 42 miles per hour. Every 1 hour, ducks travel 42 miles per hour. So I know that I am multiplying by 42 across my table. Now let's find the average speed for swans. How could I find the average speed for swans? How could I find the distance swans can travel in 1 hour? I can divide 342 divided by 9. Do that now. 342 divided by 9 is 38. So swans can travel 38 miles per hour. That means that I'm multiplying by 38 across the table. Now I can answer my first question. Which bird flies faster and how much faster? How do you know? First, which bird flies faster? Ducks fly faster. How could I figure out how much faster ducks fly? I can subtract the speed of the ducks, 42 miles per hour, minus the speed of the swans, 38 miles per hour. What's 42 minus 38? 42 minus 38 is 4. So ducks fly 4 miles per hour faster. Now let's solve number 2. If both birds flew for 9 hours, how much farther would the ducks fly? Well, I already know how far swans travel in 9 hours. Swans travel 342 miles in 9 hours. How could I figure out how far ducks fly in 9 hours? I can multiply 9 times my unit rate of 42. I can multiply across the table by my unit rate. What's 9 times 42? 9 times 42 is 378. So, ducks can fly 378 miles in 9 hours. I can subtract 378 minus 342 to see how much farther ducks would fly. Go ahead and do that now. What's 378 minus 342? It's 36. Ducks would fly 36 miles farther in 9 hours. Calvin and Mark are driving to Orlando. Mark drives 156 miles in 3 hours. Calvin drives 224 miles in 4 hours. Who is driving faster? How much faster, and how do you know? Let's start by drawing a table for each driver. One for Mark and one for Calvin. Remember that for each table, I should have a space for the time and a space for the distance. I know that Mark travels 156 miles in 3 hours. Calvin travels 224 miles in 4 hours. What is the speed of each driver? How far can each driver drive per hour or in 1 hour? Go ahead and find that distance for each driver now. I can use division to find the unit rate. Mark travels 52 miles in 1 hour. Calvin travels 56 miles in 1 hour. Use that information to find the answer to number 1. Who is driving faster? How much faster? And how do you know? Go ahead and answer that question now. Calvin is driving 4 miles per hour faster. 56 is 4 miles per hour faster than 52. Now let's answer the second question. If both drove for 5 hours, how much farther would Calvin have driven than Mark? Well, let's start by using our tables to find the distance each driver would drive in 5 hours. Remember, I can multiply across by the unit rate. 3 times 52 is 156. 1 times 52 is 52. And I can multiply 5 times 52 to find the distance Mark drives in 5 hours. 4 times 56 is 224. 1 times 56 is 56. And 5 times 56 can be multiplied to find the distance Calvin drives in 5 hours. Go ahead and find those two distances now. How far does Mark drive in 5 hours? How far does Calvin drive in 5 hours? Mark drives 260 miles in 5 hours, and Calvin drives 280 miles in 5 hours. Now I can find the difference between the distances they drove. What's 280 minus 260? It's 20. Calvin drives 20 miles farther than Mark. Let's try another. There are 270 calories in 6 servings of hummus. There are 160 calories in 4 servings of carrots. Which snack has less calories per serving? How much less, and how do you know? Remember, we need to find the unit rate and use it to solve problems. The easiest way to do that is in a table. So I'm going to make one table for hummus and one table for carrots. I can use servings and calories as my two categories. I know that there are 270 calories in 6 servings of hummus, and there are 160 calories in 4 servings of carrots. Go ahead and use that information to find the number of calories in 1 serving of each snack. There are 45 calories per serving of hummus and 40 calories per serving of carrots. Now answer the question, which snack has less calories per serving? How much less, and how do you know? Go ahead and answer that question now. 45 minus 40 is 5. So carrots have 5 less calories per serving. If you ate 3 servings of both, how many calories would you eat? Well, first I have to start by finding the number of calories in 3 servings of hummus and the number of calories in 3 servings of carrots. Remember, I can multiply across by the unit rate. 6 times 45 is 270. 1 times 45 is 45. And 3 times 45 can be used to find the number of calories in 3 servings. 4 times 40 is 160. 1 times 40 is 40. And 3 times 40 can be used to find the number of calories in 3 servings of carrots. Go ahead and find that now. How many calories are in 3 servings of hummus? How many calories are in 3 servings of carrots? There are 135 calories in 3 servings of hummus and 120 calories in 3 servings of carrots. Now I can add them together to answer the question. What's 135 plus 120? It's 255. If you ate 3 servings of both snacks, you would eat 255 calories. Now you try one. Mark runs 60 miles in 4 weeks. Kyle runs 70 miles in 5 weeks. Who runs more miles per week, and how do you know? Make sure you draw a table to help you solve the problem. Mark runs 1 more mile per week. Mark runs 15 miles each week, and Kyle runs 14 miles each week. If both Mark and Kyle ran for 9 weeks, how much farther would Mark run than Kyle? Mark would run 9 more miles than Kyle. Now try another one. Avery bikes 42 miles in 6 hours. Fred bikes 36 miles in 4 hours. Who drives faster? How much faster? And how do you know? Answer that problem now. Don't forget to make a table for Avery and a table for Fred. Avery's speed is 7 miles per hour and Fred's is 9 miles per hour. Fred bikes 2 miles per hour faster. If both Avery and Fred biked for 6 hours, how much farther would Fred have biked than Avery? Fred would have biked 12 more miles than Avery. You've done a great job on this video. Now go to the Khan Academy practice and then take your exit ticket.